lot of time with Judge Baker Harper because we want to keep them out of your list of people that you're working with at the Public Defender's Office. Tell us a little bit about how you're serving that office and what you see a lot of on a daily basis.
So the Public Defender's Office, we get involved after the person is arrested. Usually if they spend the night in jail at first appearance, which is your first court appearance before a judge, that is when the Public Defender's Office usually is appointed. We are almost always appointed unless the person before the court says they can hire their own attorney. So from there, they now have an attorney and we will represent them until the completion of their case, or if there is sometimes a conflict, for instance, two people are arrested committing the same crime, that may pose a conflict, so we would have to withdraw from one person, that would go to another office, but once you're arrested, you are entitled to an attorney. Not every crime is one where someone's arrested, so usually, almost always, felonies are those where someone's arrested. Some misdemeanors, there are some misdemeanor exceptions, but for the most part, if someone is detained or there's a pending misdemeanor crime, which is something that is punishable by only a year in county jail, that person receives a notice to appear. So something may have happened, there was an investigation, and they may get a letter in the mail that says, you are scheduled for an arraignment in front of this county court judge. So when that person comes in for arraignment, that is when the Public Defender's Office gets appointed in the same process. So a lot of the misdemeanor crimes, the ones where the maximum penalty is up to a year in the county jail, the ones we see the most are driving while license suspended. It is very easy to get your license suspended, unfortunately, without your knowledge. Also with your knowledge, but people always say, I have to work, I'm going to pay off my tickets, I can't work, and then they drive. Petty theft, especially I work out of the Gaston County office. That's when I see a lot of the petty theft, shoplifting. Those are usually the ones we see for misdemeanor crimes. The felonies are crimes that are punishable by prison. So anything over a year. There are 3 degrees of felonies, third degree, second degree, and first degree. A first degree felony is punishable typically by up to 30 years in prison. A second degree is punishable by up to 15, and then third degree is punishable by up to 5 years. That's just the maximum. It doesn't mean that someone who's arrested on a third degree felony will automatically get 5 years prison. That is just the maximum penalty the court could impose. They could also impose 5 years of probation or a fine or anything like that. And there are some crimes, obviously, that carry up to life. Those are the more serious crimes. So in terms of felonies, we usually see simple possession of drugs, marijuana over 20 grams is a felony, possession of cocaine, any other controlled substance, any other drug is going to be a felony, and marijuana is only a felony if it's over 20 grams. Burglaries are ones we see very, very often. Burglaries of a car, which would come up as burglary of conveyance, or burglary of a house, which just means you went into a building, took something, or you intended to commit a crime. Usually it's a theft. So those are usually the ones we see. And batteries. Batteries come up a lot, and people just think, well, if someone did something to me, I'll push them back. That's a battery. You snatch something out of somebody's hand, that's a battery. Those are misdemeanors. But if you were ever convicted of one battery, if you're ever convicted of one battery, the next time it becomes a felony. So be aware of that, hands to yourself. And if someone hits someone with a thing, a bat, let's say, that's an aggravated battery, that's a felony. So those are the crimes we see the most often.
I was going to say love that, but I'll take that back. Thank you for sharing that. This is probably the area of law I know least about, so work with me here. I know between the time that one is arrested and that notice to appear comes, that's a frantic period where no one knows what they're doing. No one, it's just what is one supposed to do between that time? You guys are appointed to them, and after that arrest, once they get out of jail, whatever that process is, what are they supposed to be doing? How are they proactive during that period? I don't know if that's
Okay. So if you're arrested and you post bond, so now you're out of jail, Remember to abide by any pretrial release conditions. So at your first appearance, the judge will say your bond is set at $500. If it's a drug crime, you'll usually have to take drug tests. Make sure you do those. You may have a pretrial release officer. Make sure you check in with that person. So that's the first thing, because if you do not comply with your pretrial release conditions, you may go back before the judge who may revoke your release, and you will then sent to the jail until your case is resolved. So that's the first thing, is what someone should do, is abide by their pretrial release conditions. In terms of, there's not really anything proactive you could do for your case other than be in good contact with your attorney. If you have defense witnesses, if there's some evidence that may be available, give that information to the attorney. It is not good to go doing your own investigations, go and talk to your own witnesses. Just give the information to the attorney. If there is an alleged victim in the case, do not contact the alleged victim. Don't have someone contact the alleged victim. Typically, if there's a victim, witnesses, co-defendants in a case, at first appearance, the judge will issue a no contact order. And most judges will say, and it's something they say all the time, no contact means no contact. No electric contact, no cell phones, no Facebook, no text, no internet, Twitter, any of that. So it also means no third party contact. So don't tell your friend to tell somebody to drop the case. Not only would that be a violation of pretrial release conditions, it also could be a charge of tampering with witness. So the best thing to do, stay out of trouble, stay away from people who find themselves in trouble a lot, and stay in contact with your attorney.
Perfect. I'm learning so much, I'm intrigued. I'm gonna move on now. If you could pass the mic.